everybody and welcome to City Skylines tier list with me, T-Davy1. In this episode we're going to be doing public transport, where I break down all of the public transport in City Skylines, judge them from trash all the way up to OP, talk about what DLCs they come from, so you guys can make an educated decision on what DLCs you would like to buy, and also what public transport you should be using in your city. If you are interested in this style of video and you like tier lists and you want to find out more about DLCs, I've made one of these already for DLCs, so go watch that. Link will be in the description. I might throw it up on the screen somewhere. Anyway, let's get into it and let's get into trash tier. In trash tier, we have blimps and helicopters. Blimps first and foremost come from the mass transit DLC. They can carry 35 passengers. And the helicopters come from the Sunset Harbour DLC and they can carry 20 passengers. Both of them go to the sky and both of them are not very good. The only reason why I'd probably pick blimps over a helicopter in this game is because you can put little advertising on the side of the blimps, normally for different companies in your game. But if you use a policy, there's a policy to put educational posters on, which boosts the education in your city. So if you want lots of education, blimps is the way to go. That can boost your education. Not exactly ideal though, and I don't think it's really something that you should be going for when it comes to a functionality point of view. Cosmetically, they both look great in your city. Functionality wise, they are both absolutely trash, and that is why they're in trash tier. Now, let's move on to buses, because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to buses. Mainly, I've split buses, as you can see by the tier list. I put normal buses, including Green Cities buses, Bioview buses should I say, in Ike tier. In Mech tier, I put trolley buses. Why have I put trolley buses in a tier below? By the way, if you like trolley buses, you need the Sunset Harbour DLC. If you like Green City buses, the Green City DLC, which is the Bioview buses, standard buses come in the standard game, and if you get the After Dark DLC, you get some extra station, which is cool as well. So that's all the DLCs covered. All of the buses, every single one of the types, carry 30 people. They don't particularly have a difference in speed either. That is the only thing I could notice. So why is trolley buses in a lower tier? Why have I put them in a different tier to normal buses? It's because they have to go on roads with the special little electrical cables overhead, meaning they're not quite as versatile. They can't go on roundabouts, they can't go on highways, they can't go in tunnels, they can't do a lot of things that a normal bus can do, which is, you know, frustrating to use. So yeah, trolley buses are in meh tier. Normal buses though, I think they're alright, they're good for your city, and that's why they're in 8 tier. Let's move on to the rest of meh tier, which is going to be taxis. Taxis that come with the After Dark DLC as well. Now, taxis are an interesting one for me. If you want to boost your commercial and your leisure and your tourism industries, taxis are quite good. They can generate you a lot of money. The only reason I don't like taxis in this game is because you're effectively adding a car to the road, where in public transport you should be trying to get cars off the road. Also, if you want to have a good taxi fleet, you're going to need a lot of the depots, because the depots spawn 25 taxis per depot. Big cities are going to require 200-300 taxis. That is going to be a lot of depots throughout your city. And they're another building that you don't particularly need in your city at times, and they take up too much room and there's no need for it. So yeah, taxis are in meh tier. If you want to generate lots and lots of money though, taxis are quite good at that, but that's not what we're going for here. We're trying to get people off the road, and taxis cannot do that very well. So let's move on to 8 tier. We've already covered buses. After that, we also have ferries. Ferries come with the mass transit DLC as well. Ferries are like the bus of the water, I think is the way you can do it. They can go on rivers, they can go up canals, they can go in the ocean. They're very good. They carry 30 passengers per boat. They're solid. They're a solid choice. There's nothing special about them. They're just a ferry. They look quite cool in your waterways. And if you want a canal city, I do recommend ferries though for canal cities, because they are a good option at that. The next one on the list is monorails. Are, I think, probably the fastest straight line public transport in this game. I haven't tested it, but I've got a feeling in a straight line, if you have a dead straight track, they are the fastest. They will even beat a train and a metro with a straight line. I'm not sure how they do against, I can't think of anything that'll be faster than a monorail. Really don't think there is. Anyway, they come with the mass transit DLC. They carry 180 passengers per thing, and the only downside to them is I don't particularly like the stations. They look quite ugly. There are some really cool transfer stations with the monorail, which allow you to transfer to monorail to bus, or monorail to train is the other one. There's also monorail to metro, which is really good. The only problem is that they are very, very noisy, and you have to be very careful with the placement of the stations. And the tracks are not the greatest. They can't go underground. They do look okay above ground, but I don't particularly like them. They do obviously go above on the 2-lane avenue roads. They go above, which is in the centre, which looks cool, which is great. But the noise is really hard, and you have to be very careful with your zoning or placement around them to make sure you don't upset lots of people in the shops and lots of people in the houses. Offices around monorails is a good place to put. But for that, because there is things like the train, the tram and the metro in this game, I'm going to put them in I tier, not class or OP. Now the last one in I tier is a weird one. Cable cars. A lot of you probably thought this was going to come a little bit earlier. I really like cable cars. They come with the mass transit DLC as well. You're going to notice a pattern here. Mass transit DLC, there's a lot of stuff in it. It's quite good. Cable cars carry 30 passengers per pod. Now there's lots of weird little things about the cable car, because it fires out lots and lots of pods really, really quickly. So if you want to get people, say, over a river at a really good, consistent rate, cable car is very good to that. Getting them up a mountain, for example, very, very good for that. Over a highway to connect two public transport systems together, very, very good for that. They look clean, they look crisp. I really like them. They're probably my favourite cosmetic when it comes to public transport. But because they're not quite, you know, they're not great, and they ask the lines that you have to put in, the towers that you have to put in, they're a little bit cumbersome, they're a little bit clumsy, and they can ruin up your zoning and mess it up a little bit. So that's why they're only in I tier. I do really recommend playing around with them though, so if you haven't played around with cable cars, definitely do that. Now, let's move on to class tier. Trains and trams. First up, trains. They should be the backbone of your city, in my opinion. The train hub when it comes to collecting, 6 lines into one place and firing them out into different directions is wonderful. It comes with a base game as well, so even you guys with no DLC should be using trains. You should be learning how to use a train. The tram tracks are very good. You can, if you're very, very careful and very, very skillful and very, very patient, thread the eye of a needle when it comes to a train track in between the highways, if you know what I mean. I might show a quick little demonstration on screen right now, because you can do it with trains and that looks excellent. Or you can line your roads like I have done in my Vanilla City series. Link to that will be in the description as well, where I've lined a road with tram tracks on a tram. I'm going to talk about tram in a minute. Train tracks on either side of the road, which I think looks excellent. They're very, very fast. They move 240 passengers around your city like that, and that is what you want to be using. For most of your public transport in the game, I think trains are, the bread and butter. They're not quite OP though. They are class, because I think they're a little bit noisy and the stations are a little bit large at times, which is the only drawback to them. Now, let's move on to trams. Trams are an interesting one, because trams are a bit like grabbing a train, grabbing a bus and smashing them together. They are the most versatile public transport in this game. Trams come with a Snowfall DLC, which is the only good thing about the Snowfall DLC. I'm not going to lie to you. If you get the Snowfall DLC, get it for trams. If you're not interested in trams, don't get the Snowfall DLC, in my opinion. That's my humble opinion. Anyway, trams, why are they so good? Well, they carry 90 passengers. And trams are the most versatile because they can go above ground, they can go as a bridge, they can go as a tunnel, they can go on the road, and they can go on their own separate track. Not just can they go on their own separate track, but you can place stops along their own separate track that you can then line pathways to and fro, allowing you to have a tram network that is totally separate from your road system. Meaning, I think they're probably the most versatile in the game, and a really, really good way of getting people off the roads in City Skylines. Something that we have done in our Vanilla City. I might just show you a little screenshot of what I've done, where I've incorporated a tram track that does a nice little loop into a park. So it's gone inside of an actual park, part of the park DLC, and then back out the other side. It's totally functioning, it works, and it looks beautiful. Trams are glorious, and they are very, very close to OP. Talking about OP tier, let's get to it. Of course, there's only one candidate for OP tier, and of course it is the Metro. Why is it Metro? Well, it comes with the base game, first and foremost. It has the smallest station as well, with that little 2x2 block, which is very, very small. It also has connections to multi-platform stations, such as the multi-platform train stations and the Metro Monorail train hub, as well as a couple other little things where it already has a built-in station underneath that you can just connect into very easily. Metros carry a capacity of 180 citizens, and it's very, very good. And now with the new the overhaul that they've done with the metro system, they can go above ground as well. You've got some new fancy stations to play around with. In my opinion, I wouldn't have them above ground. I'll keep them underground and use them like that. But yeah, they are OP. Now, for all of the people who have watched this video, I've got a little treat for you guys, a little homage to the hockey guy. Now, all of you guys will have watched this video and understood why I put each one in each tier. For those guys who skipped to the end, we're going to do something a little bit fun. We're going to now pretend that I've done this all wrong and I'm going to jumble them all up. So, let's do that right now and troll the guys who skipped to the end. So yeah, as a quick roundup, of course, the best one in City Skylines is helicopters. Monorails are trash. I hate trains. Trains are awful. They're too big, they're too noisy. They're definitely in trash tier. Metros are okay, I suppose, if you want to use a metro. Look at New York, look at London. They're not very good. They're always running late. You should definitely be using helicopters. They are definitely the best. Ferries are really good, and cable cars are another class one to be using. Everything else, just get rid of it. There's no need for it. All you need is helicopters, in my opinion. They get people around the best. And that is that. Thank you very much for watching. I've been TDavid1. Make sure to smash like, hit subscribe, and peace out.